Welcome back to Wrestling City. As always, I'm Taylor. It's been a minute, but I am back with a reaction video, and today I am reacting to 15 minutes of horrible WWE botches. This was uploaded by Plana. I've reacted to one of his videos in the past. I believe it was the 20 wrestlers who had zero chemistry together. Go check that out in our playlist if you haven't yet. I enjoy this guy's content, so I'm just gonna check this out, react to it like always, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's not waste any more time and let's get into it.
These are the 10 worst botchers in WWE history. Number 10, Sabu. The late great Sabu made a career out of delivering high-risk spots, and more often than not, those dangerous spots would go badly wrong. Sabu would often botch key spots, whether they included tables or chairs, or sometimes even the ring ropes wouldn't cooperate with whatever he was trying to achieve. According to the man himself, during an interview with Chris Jericho on Talk is Jericho, everything he did as a pro wrestler was deliberate and calculated, and he even claimed that he often botched on purpose. This is what he said.
I wasn't a crazy stuntman. I was a calculated wrestler, I would say. The trick was to make everybody think I'm crazy and don't know what I'm doing, but not the boss. So Vince and a few other guys thought I was really out of control, which meant I did my job, but not really to them because they thought I was out of control, but I wasn't. But I never did any bump I didn't already do in practice over and over, But I tell you, half those botches was the work, half of them I planned those.
Was this the case of Sabu trying to protect his image or legacy, or was Sabu being serious when he said that he actually botched on purpose? Who knows, but I will say that Sabu has been backed by RVD and the Blue Meanie regarding those claims, as both men have stated that Sabu would indeed botch on purpose, as it added a sense of realism to his matches. Number 9, Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy's
Yeah, I mean that last botch we saw, he just got dropped on the top of his head. But I've heard that I actually heard that interview not too long ago, actually, and he kind of makes a fair point where you know wrestlers they're going to botch, and I like how he did it to, like he said, it was to keep that image of realism when it comes to wrestling. So, I mean, he was able to make it look cool. So. I guess that's all that matters.
in-ring style was one of the main reasons why fans gravitated towards him in the late 90s. Hardy was incredibly unique, and his in-ring work was a complete game changer when it came to the WWE landscape. While Hardy was
all the kids growing up in my age, everybody was saying, man, I love Jeff Hardy. I want to be just like Jeff Hardy. I want to do crazy shit that he did. So
able to have great matches, he was often prone to botches. Hardy's in-ring style meant that he would often slip on the ropes, and when he competed in gimmick matches such as ladder matches or TLC matches, botches would be common. Even in his later years, he would botch, and according to his brother Matt Hardy, it even became a part of his character. On his podcast, Matt Hardy would discuss his brother botching at AEW Double or Nothing in 2023, and this is what he had to say about the incident.
It was in great shape, cardio-wise, everything else. He was in great ring shape as far as that goes. And it was Jeff's decision. We programmed one specific spot where it looked like he made an error, which he didn't make an error, and it was specifically just to stop him after he made this big, beautiful comeback, right? And just the amount of people that is still so easy to get. Sometimes there's things done intentionally for the help of telling a certain story.
While it's easy to see how this could have easily been used as a storyline in AEW, it didn't really go anywhere, so it was kind of a complete waste of time. If you're going to have a wrestler botch on purpose, it has to mean something, or the wrestler is just going to look completely incompetent. Number 8, Tonga Loa. A wrestler managing to botch their own WWE debut is never a good sign, and when it came to Tonga Loa, this was where his negative reputation as a pro wrestler would truly begin. Loa would debut during the finish of the New Bloodline versus Kevin Owens and Randy Orton match at Backlash, and his debut was a total disaster due to a major botch. Loa would roll out from under the ring too late, and this meant that the referee had to improvise and roll out of the ring before Loa could even implement his scripted spot. Loa was also supposed to debut with a towel over his head, and then he would rip it off, revealing himself to the audience. The problem is that the towel fell off of his head, meaning that his identity was already exposed. The botches don't stop there, as at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view in 2024, Loa was scripted to play a crucial part in the main event. He was scripted to interfere and deliver a low blow to Kevin Owens. This spot is one of the easiest spots in the world to perform, but somehow, some way, he messed it up. Loa botched the spot, so he had to repeat it again. The spot received major criticism as it made WWE look terrible, and it certainly did not make them look like a top wrestling company in the entire world. Following the botch, Loa turned into a meme on social media, with fans poking fun at Loa and expecting him to botch everything he did. This is a dangerous reputation to...
Hey, Hunico, it's me, Hunter. Listen, do you still have those old lowrider bikes? Yeah, perfect. I mean, yeah, I forgot that he was that character.
As a pro wrestler, and hopefully when the former tag team champion returns from injury, the botches will become less frequent. Number 7, the Great Khali.
Yeah, I don't think they will. I just think that guy's just a living botch machine at this point. I feel like, I mean, that guy just can't do nothing right.
When WWE signed the Great Khali in 2006, they believed they were getting a healthy and fit version of the 7-foot star. Khali was impressive in Japan in the years prior to his WWE signing, and he was extremely athletic and flexible despite his size. Unfortunately, a serious knee injury in 2005 would change everything, and this greatly impacted his mobility. Khali's in-ring work dramatically regressed overnight, and this changed how he would wrestle moving forward. Khali's WWE matches were often filled with awkward spots, and when he botched, there was a lot of confusion as Khali was never remotely fazed by any wrongdoings. Khali struggled to grasp the WWE style, and this extended to the WWE production. At the 2007 Royal Rumble, he completely botched a spot which was supposed to see him pose towards the hard camera, and Khali had to even be reminded by the legendary Shawn Michaels as to where the hard camera was located. On a different occasion in 2010 on an episode of Raw, Khali and Edge were in a over-the-top rope challenge match, and this would have been an easy match to execute, yet Khali botched the match finish. For whatever reason, Khali proceeded to step over the rope, seemingly forfeiting the matchup without even knowing. This led to everyone looking completely baffled, and even Jerry Lawler and Michael Cole were lost for words. Although Khali was prone to botches, and his matches were often terrible, this never stopped WWE from using him in prominent roles. Khali basically squashed The Undertaker in his pay-per-view debut, and the following year he would become world champion. WWE were obviously hoping that Khali's limitations would somewhat disappear, but they didn't, and as his career went on, and as he got older, things only seemed to get worse. Number 6, Nia Jax. By the time Nia Jax was initially released from WWE in 2021, she had a truly horrendous reputation. Jax wasn't just known for botching, but she was also known for being reckless and rough with her opponents. There were a number of times of Jax botching simple spots, whether that be her throwing Kairi Sane into the turnbuckle or infamously legitimately punching Becky Lynch in the face, breaking her nose in the process. The WWE would attempt to turn this into a storyline and present the idea that Nia Jax was a huge danger in the ring while she had all this heat, but a lot of people would argue that this was go-away heat, and fans were concerned that Jax was going to seriously hurt someone every time she stepped foot in that ring. When she did return in 2023, fans hoped that Nia Jax had grown as a performer, and when she returned at the Rumble, the WWE managed to hilariously botch her entrance. The WWE randomly played her music before the countdown even popped up. It was such a unique way to bring her back, and the irony wasn't lost on fans that WWE had botched her return. For the most part, Nia Jax's second run in the company has been a success. Nia Jax has vastly improved in the ring, and her TV matches with the likes of Tiffany Stratton and Naomi have been definite standouts. With that being said, Nia Jax will still botch in the ring, but more often than not, her botches are caused by being too soft in the ring. Nia is clearly aware that during her first run, she was overly reckless, so she's often seen taking care of whatever she's doing in that ring. This was seen at War War Games in 2024 as she began to deliver chair shots that made her look like the safest wrestler in the world, and it was almost as if she was scared to make any contact. Additionally, during a SmackDown spot where she was to hit the dreaded Annihilator on both Trish Stratus and Tiffany Stratton, Nia Jax purposely botched the move as both women were out of position, and if she landed on them, they would have been hurt. Nia's career is very fascinating as it's extremely rare for a wrestler to go from reckless and somewhat dangerous in the ring to being incredibly competent, and some would say that in 2025, too soft in that ring. Number 5.
Yeah, a lot of people have shit on her throughout her career, and I mean, she did deserve most of it, but I mean, I agree with what this guy just said, that her second run has been a lot better, and she's improved in the ring, not just when it comes to protecting her opponent, not being too rough with them like we saw during her first run, but I mean, she's put on some pretty good matches ever since she's come back, so that's all that matters, is that she's improving and she's not going out there and breaking people's noses or anything like that.
Ryback. Ryback was often seen making a number of botches during his time in WWE, and even before the infamous CM Punk podcast appearance, some fans were aware that Ryback was not the best performer in that ring. With that being said, when Punk appeared on the Colt Cabana podcast, it opened the eyes of many to how reckless Ryback could be as a performer. Punk would go into great detail regarding his time with Ryback, and he stated that working with him was a terrible experience, and Ryback would sometimes actually hurt him deliberately. Let's listen to what CM Punk had to say.
I'm already beat up, and then I have to wrestle steroid guy, and he's very. I call it like I see it. He's very hurty. Sometimes deliberate. Sometimes deliberate.
Hurty.
I mean, there was one time he kicked me in the stomach as hard as he could, and he broke my ribs right at the tail end. And like that, I never got an apology for that. He was something else.
Fast forward a year later, and Vince would request that Punk would work with him again, as this time the roles were reversed. Punk was the babyface, and Ryback would be the heel. Punk wanted to go into the feud with a clean slate, but during their first segment together, Ryback would once again botch a major spot, and he injured Punk. This is what CM Punk said about that incident.
I'll work Ryback, and I go up to Ryan, and I go, "Hey man, clean slate. Let's fucking kill this. Let's fucking show them, that you're better than they think you are. Let's show them that I'm better than they think I am, and let's fucking, let's turn this mid-card shit into a fucking main event." Yeah, I'm really excited. Great, blah, blah, blah. First night out, gorilla press through a table, fucking misses the table. Dumps me on the concrete fucking ground. You can't tell me you didn't do that on purpose, because you've done it so many times now. You either tell me right now you're dumb as fuck and you suck, or you did it on purpose. And he was like, "I'm dumb as fuck."
Punk would also claim that working with Ryback took 20 years off his life, and while this definitely impacted Ryback's reputation for a long time, he did manage to improve somewhat in the botch department by the time that he did leave WWE in 2016. Number 4, the McMahon family. None of the members of the McMahon family were formally trained to wrestle. When it came to Vince McMahon, he had some brief training in the 90s, but his lack of training often showed in his matches, as he was prone to being extremely stiff, and he wasn't immune to a botch or two. Everybody knows that he was unable to take the Stone Cold Stunner, and his botch at WrestleMania 38 is one of the funniest botches of all time, as well as the first stunner that he ever took. In regards to Shane McMahon, similar to his father, he was never trained to wrestle, and that's why his work would often look very messy. Shane never seemed able to grasp how to throw a punch, and most of his bumps would be completely wild. The majority of the McMahon matches would contain a high spot where Shane would ascend to the top of something extremely high, and then to his credit, he rarely botched these, as he became an expert at delivering high-risk moves. Then you've got Linda McMahon, who was perhaps the worst performer out of the entire family. McMahon wasn't destined for WWE TV, and her performances were often met with a lot of negative reviews from fans. Whenever Linda had to deliver any type of acting on TV, she would fall apart, and who can forget about the time that she took a stunner on Raw in the worst way imaginable. And last but not least, we got Stephanie, who is perhaps the only name in the family who avoids botches throughout her career. Stephanie was often effortless in the promo department, and when she did slip up in a promo, she was able to get back on track instantly. Stephanie's matches and physicality were often rehearsed in advance, and most of her matches went down without a hiccup. Number 3, Goldberg. Goldberg was thrown into the deep end in WCW. He didn't have much experience as a pro wrestler, and within a matter of months, he was at the top of WCW's card. Goldberg's lack of experience would be on display in a lot of his matches. However, it wasn't until the late 90s when he obtained a reputation for being stiff and being the king of botches. It was a stiff botch mule kick to the head of the legendary Bret Hart that changed Hart's life forever. Following that kick from Goldberg at the 1999 Starrcade event, Hart would be forced to retire, and for 25 years and counting, Hart has despised Goldberg as a pro wrestler.
Guys like Goldberg that can kick somebody and ruin his career in 2 seconds, and then get inducted in the Hall of Fame and paraded around like he's a great wrestler. I don't know. He wasn't that great of a wrestler to me. He's a great guy, and I have nothing but respect for Bill, but he really f***ed up my whole life. And there's no room for that in wrestling.
While Goldberg managed to somewhat improve in the ring by the end of his WWE run in 2000.
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody that hates Goldberg as much as Bret Hart does. I mean, I will admit, sometimes Bret Hart, he does. I mean, come on, bro. I think you can just let it go at this point. I mean, that was what, 1999? It's 26 years ago. I mean, I get why you're upset, but there's just got to be a time where you just got to let it go and let bygones be bygones. So
3, he was still reckless and the botches were frequent. He would often fail to cooperate with moves such as the pedigree, and when he had his second run with the company over a decade later, that is where the problems began even more. Goldberg was way past his prime, and this was on full display during his atrocious showdown with The Undertaker. Goldberg would botch heavily in the match, and he even dropped one of the greatest pro wrestlers of all time on his head. Following the match, there were calls for Goldberg to be pulled from the roster with immediate effect, but in a somewhat reckless call from WWE, he would continue to have a number of matches against top names in WWE such as Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley, and Roman Reigns. Number 2, Eva Marie.
And by the time you're watching this, apparently he's being rumored to appear on Raw next week. I just don't care to see Goldberg. I mean, it's 2025. We should have left him in the early 2000s, and he's apparently going to fight Gunther here soon. I mean, if there's one guy that can get a good match out of Goldberg, it will be Gunther. But I just don't care to see Goldberg in a wrestling ring. God, save me, please.
Marie is someone who would have fit in the WWE a decade prior, but when she burst onto the scene thanks to her involvement with the Total Diva show, the WWE product was slowly taking women's wrestling more seriously. And because of this, her work was under a microscope. And when she was by far the worst women's wrestler on the roster, a lot of fans would question why she was kept around. Eva Marie struggled to grasp the fundamentals of wrestling, and she even struggled with how to execute a scripted slap during her TV debut alongside Jerry Lawler. Even during Marie's run in NXT, her matches would often be filled with botches, and when she delivered her sliced bread finisher, she was basically doing it in slow-mo. It just looked horrendous. There was even a match with Billie Kay where she completely forgot to kick out, and naturally the NXT audience let her have it. The WWE gave Marie countless opportunities to improve in the ring, and they even brought her back into the mix for a second run, but this second run was completely pointless as Eva Marie simply didn't warrant a place on the roster, and during this run, she would end up having one of the worst matches of the year versus Alexa Bliss at the 2021 SummerSlam. And number 1, Sin Cara. WWE deciding to sign Mystico in 2011 was a huge deal. Mystico was one of the biggest names in the entire world at the time, and WWE were under the impression that he would become one of their biggest names on the roster, maybe even the next Rey Mysterio. The company made the call to debut him as Sin Cara on the main roster, and some questioned this, thinking that it would have been wise for Sin Cara to have a brief run in FCW to learn the ropes and understand the WWE style. Nevertheless, Sin Cara would initially debut on the Raw brand following WrestleMania 27, and his early matches left a lot of fans wondering what all the hype was about. Sin Cara would botch a lot of his signature moves, and it was almost as if he was doing it on purpose. His matches were often lackluster at best, and it was hardly a surprise that the WWE never paired him with any of the upper echelon stars at the time. This was one of WWE's biggest busts, and some say that the blame falls on WWE as they didn't give him appropriate time to understand the style. However, some would clap back at this and say that the majority of the moves that Sin Cara was botching were the moves he was already doing before WWE, so he should have been able to deliver these without any botches. The WWE would eventually decide to give the Sin Cara gimmick that they created to Hunico, and the WWE and original Sin Cara would part ways. And to make things even worse, when Hunico took over as Sin Cara, he would even botch as well. So clearly, there's just a bad curse on that Sin Cara gimmick. Anyways, that is it for the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like.
Yeah, that was another pretty solid video from Plana. I do plan on reacting to more of his videos. He always drops great content. But let me know in the comments down below what you guys think was the worst botch here. Who had the worst botches in their career? If I had to pick one, I would probably have to go with, I mean, Eva Marie, Ryback, Sin Cara. Those are my top three from that list. But let me know what you guys think of this video. If you guys enjoyed it, hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. Come help us make Wrestling City the greatest city in the world. We promise you will love your stay here in Wrestling City. Until then, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.